Hello and welcome back to the Sam Beast YouTube channel and another ITAM Shorts. Today we're talking to Chris Allen, the software dude or Microsoft dude as he calls himself on LinkedIn. Awesome content on there, by the way. If you're not following him, his LinkedIn profile will be in the description below. But in this, I asked him how on earth did he actually get started out and how did his career journey lead him to have such a passion for software licensing and Microsoft in particular. So let's go watch the video, hear what Chris has to say. This is a very light-hearted, jokey one as well. So we hope you enjoy it and see you next time.
Good question. So I never intended to end up in IT. I intended to get up in sales. So going back a few years, I studied chemistry at university. I'm quite logically orientated, so I loved maths, loved chemistry, loved physics. Didn't really like biology that much. Went to university, studied chemistry. My mum studied chemistry, so it seemed like a good fit. Came out of there looking for a job, so I was interviewing for roles selling, lab equipment effectively.
Yeah.
I thought I'm quite a personal guy. I understand it from a technical aspect. Let's give this a punt. Couldn't get a job. You know, those end of cycles of you haven't got any experience, go get a job, and then you can't get a job because you've not got any experience. Yada yada. You know, I've got to pay bills, so I signed up to a local recruitment company who got me working for a criminal checking place. So I was an account manager there, but not a salesperson. I was processing criminal checks. The IT manager at the time left the business, and I put my hand up and said, look, until you hire someone, I can keep you over because I'm quite a keen PC gamer. So I understand how to build PCs, you know, run gaming servers, all that sort of stuff. And they never hired anyone to replace them. They thought, Chris,
You were too damn good.
It was enough, you know, to keep them going. And then I got involved with the developers there who were sort of pointing me in the right direction of what sort of stuff I should be learning. So that got me into the 365 space, a bit of AWS, a bit of Azure. I then started to speak with some of the suppliers that we had. And actually that was then my first step into sales role. So it was actually to start working from one of those suppliers so they could see I could understand the 365 side. You know, I was always open that sales was what I was aiming to go for, and then ended up working for a CSP for a couple of years. That was then the cold calling part. And I thought I've had enough of cold calling. I want to do the account managing stuff. I'll generate the business still. I don't need to be given accounts. I'll generate that, but I want to own the relationship moving forwards. And actually, that's where the fun stuff happens. Then I suppose software asset management, which is probably more your forte and where you want to go the discussion. Because I came from a Microsoft background, and when you're competing for enterprise customers, enterprise agreements, there's a lot of different agreements, but if you focus on EAs, the pricing's for a direct agreement, it's direct from Microsoft. So partners can't compete on price. Partners therefore need to compete on value. So that is coming in, having a look at your state, what's your business doing? How do we optimize this? Where are you compliant? Where are you non-compliant? What's your processes? Are these the right licenses for you? What's your roadmap, etc.? And I found that really, really interesting. So that's pretty much the start for software asset management for me. It's not really the sales pitching side of battling costs down. It's actually having a proper view at the business strategy and how to make those agreements fit for them. So that's how I ended up in it, to win business, but inadvertently that gave me a love for software asset management and obviously everything that comes along with it.
So yeah, it's interesting because you on LinkedIn, again, I go back to the LinkedIn side of things, but you publish an awful lot of kind of content and knowledgeable stuff around Microsoft in particular, Office 365, Azure, etc. Is that your kind of primary spark or passion if you like within the SAM and software space, and if so, why Microsoft, why cloud, why?
Yeah, good question. Twofold experience. It's always good to go back to what you know. If I'm generating new business, which is majority of what I'm meant to be doing on LinkedIn, if I'm going to end up having a conversation with someone, I want to do it with what I'm actually going to be able to provide value on. If I start talking about, I don't know, VMware in any technical detail, I do understand a little bit, but I'm not going to be able to advise them like I can on Microsoft. That being said, it's not necessarily where my love lies. A lot of the practices and the advice that I'll give from a Microsoft perspective can be put into other software vendors, or generally, just generally lessons learned from those engagements of how did you end up in this issue in the first place, regardless of the product. Let's forget about what the product is or what the SKU is. How did this happen? What process happened to cause this issue? And let's address that. That's what I find really quite interesting words, Christopher. Cloud technology, love it. Love cloud because I hate cables. Well, I love cables. When I worked in IT, I had to set up a new office, and we had these big server racks, and making that look really, really neat was really, really satisfying. But there's no need for the tin. I didn't maintain that tin. It took a long time to get the office up and running. Managing hardware assets, etc., etc. I'd rather just deal with the actual business value that's coming from it. No one cares about the computer behind the service. They care about the service.
Well, I mean, if you're into ham, you care about the computer behind the service. Come on, Chris. What are you doing to us?
I don't get involved with hardware. I don't get involved with hardware.
Well, to everyone that is involved in hardware, we care. We care deeply about the physical tin.